Welcome. I'm here with Wes Jones from Pharmacose. How are we doing this evening?
Doing well. How are you, Matt?
I'm doing well, thank you. So
Great,
let's
great.
uh Pharmacose, how did you come up with that name?
So it's kind of I put two words together: pharmaceutical and comatose. I was it was kind of put together during a time when I was kind of just getting over a manic episode I'd had, and my meds weren't really right yet. So I wasn't really manic, and I wasn't really depressed per se, but I was just kind of feeling blah, you know. I don't know if you've ever kind of felt like that, where you're just kind of wading through life, and you just kind of feel like you're existing. So this was kind of a time, that kind of time, and it just kind of made sense. So it just stuck.
Yeah, I was trying to look up, like, if there was a kind of meaning behind it, and there's where it's spelled with a K, it's actually of ancient Greek. So
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was going to go that way or what, but I do like the explanation. Um, so I want to touch a little bit on your past. You're a forensic doctor.
Yeah, well, I'm a pathologist. Yeah, so I don't do forensics. I do I look at tissue under the microscope and
Okay.
diagnose like cancer and other diseases. And I also run a blood bank. So yeah, that's kind of what I do. That's my day job gig.
So you're a busy man.
Yeah, I stay busy. I mean, it's I've always kind of had a lot of energy, and so like during the day, that's what I do, and kind of during the evening, I like to I find time to go train jujitsu, and then at night, I just go up to the studio for a couple hours, and just kind of chip away at it a little bit each night. So
So you're just out of curiosity, like, what
yeah,
made you get into music from, have you always been into music, or like did
yeah,
it just okay?
yeah. I grew up. I started playing the violin when I was like 5 or so, and so I've been just doing music ever since. To some degree, I don't really play the violin much anymore, but I played up through college. And I guess I'd always wanted to play the guitar. I mean, that was really the violin's great, but I only ever really wanted to play the guitar and sing and that kind of thing. My dad always, had the classic rock, well, what is now considered a classic rock station, cranked when I was a kid, and I just, fell in love with rock music. And so finally, I guess, after just many stops or starts and stops, I like committed to playing the guitar. I taught myself, and played some bass for a little while in some bands, and never really went anywhere. So just kind of just kept playing guitar, and eventually it's because I moved around a lot, and I didn't really know much about, I don't know how familiar you are with music production, but DAWs, digital audio workstations.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole craze now is home music production, and I've been doing my own production, or at least trying to, for maybe a decade now, but not really being very successful for my own productions. I'd
Right.
always I'd always hooked up with my buddy Lou, who's the bassist and producer, and so it just kind of, the more I stayed with him and the more I learned, the better I got. And then during COVID, I just had to do something, so I just really kind of started producing more stuff on my own. So but
Yeah.
yeah, I've always wanted to do something. It's just been kind of a progression ever since I was a kid. I've never really stopped.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what my gig is here. I don't quite have the patience or whatever to you know learn to play anything. I've tried, but
Hmm.
I've always retained information about music, like people's names, dates, just all kinds of odd stuff, and
Hmm.
always loved music. So this is a way that I feel like I can get into it, is to, that's why I like to call it Let's Talk Music, because we touch on, what you're doing, your singles, your albums, whatnot, and then just kind of, BS about different things like we have so far.
Hmm.
So, it's a good outlet for me, and that brings up my next question. You mentioned manic
Mhm.
depression. Is music good for a good outlet for that?
I've joked before that music is one of the best things that's ever happened to me, and it's one of the worst thing that's ever happened to me because, and I don't think I can just, and I guess what I'm trying to say is, I don't think I can stop. I think it's great to have that outlet, but it's kind of a double-edged sword because I feel like I'm always chasing something,
Right.
and I always feel like I'm trying to just chase a sound or chase what else, whatever's going on in my head, and try to just bring life to it, and it can be very frustrating, so because I don't know, I don't know how many musicians are like that. I'm sure there are a lot, but or producers or whoever that you almost just have this perfectionist complex that you just can't get over, and so it just kind of bogs you down. But yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, you always hear that people who are bipolar or manic depressive or whatever have they're creative. That's one of the kind of the personality traits,
Right.
and I do believe that wholeheartedly. I think, matter of fact, when I was getting evaluated, they one of the therapists asked me if I was creative, and I said, yeah, I just always writing music and doing all that type of thing. But for me personally, just at the same time, it's just it can be frustrating when like I said, you're trying to get stuff, you're trying to find time to do it even, and you just uh, it's hard to just put it all together sometimes. Let's just say that, and it's extremely difficult to. I mean, I'm not saying playing an instrument is difficult. It's difficult to be really good, um, but to do all this other stuff, with learning production and learning mixing and all that, it's just so much, and
Right.
it's I don't know. I guess I've kind of put a lot of stress on myself, because I just want to be good, but that's just part of it, man. You just got to keep going, right?
Yes, sir. So, in your press release, I was reading about checked out, and
Hmm.
you said that you kind of isolated yourself, and it's about like escapism into
Hmm.
like video games and social media. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, this was kind of that during that time that I was talking about that I came up with the name Pharmacose.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like I quit drinking after all this, and or after I gotten over my manic episode, or was kind of coming down from that, and so I didn't really, I kind of lost touch with some of the friends, if you can call them that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so it was just a really the paradigm of my life had just shifted, and so I just I kind of retreated inward because it was kind of like I was almost been reborn again. I was a new person, but I hadn't really learned how to be that person. And so I guess I was just anxious about kind of getting out and trying to live my life. So I just retreated inward, and I started playing video games, and just not really doing much else, to be honest. I was training some, but it was mostly just that, and going to work and doing some music, and I felt like I just kind of checked out, like just emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
and just I just didn't want to feel anything.
Right.
Um, it was just all kind of too much to take in, and it's just so easy to just retreat like that. It's maybe 30 or 40 years ago you couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you could if with books or whatever, but I guess nowadays with video games and computers and the internet, it's just it's way too easy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I can relate with that in a way. I have anxiety, and
Hmm.
it's not, I would say, overwhelming, but I do have panic attacks at times.
Oh man, sorry.
Yeah, I take medication, to stop those and whatever. And it started in my late teens. And, one of the things that I learned really helps me during that period is, you know, actually listening to a song or something that I know will chill me out, or because I don't like really taking medicine. So it's an absolute have to. So, if I don't have to, if I can chill out, listen to a song or whatever, then that's how I like to, do it. And I mean, it's always good to have an outlet, no matter what. And, just with everything I've got going on, I really don't have time to isolate myself. So,
Yeah, I can totally understand that.
and I don't think isolating myself would be really a good thing. I don't like being, stuck in my own head. I mean, I drive a truck as a day job, and, I'm thinking all day long, but what I'm
Yeah, I
thinking,
was about to say you've got to spend a lot of time by yourself, right?
right. But what I think about, is like, okay, how am I going to do this? So this interview, that interview, how am I going to, get my website to this? And, it's all thoughts that I'm trying to put into motion, and it can be frustrating at times, like you said. But so the new single, Cleanse You, what's that about?
So, man, I'm sorry, I keep getting in this glare. Let me
Oh,
get
you're
out of it.
fine, man. I can see you just fine.
I usually would be in a different room, but that's the room that the water leak was in, and there.
Gotcha.
But anyway, so Cleanse You, I don't. So one of the things that when I started kind of doing a little bit more of the production on my own, I'd always wanted to do a concept album. And I've always loved concept albums. I love like Pink Floyd and The Wall is probably the first one that comes to mind, but also some others like the Mars Volta, D-Louse and the Comatoriums, one of my favorites, and Year Zero by Nine Inch Nails is another good one. There's so many more though, and King Crimson, I guess, and
Oh
you
wow.
just yeah. And so, I mean, I'm not comparing myself to these guys at all. I'm just saying that it's something that I've always wanted to do. And so I started coming up with a theme and what I was going to talk about. And the cool thing about a lot of these albums is they have something, they have some content to it, they have like a storyline or whatever else, but I kind of feel like not a lot of them are fleshed out. Maybe The Wall is because it's got a movie with it.
Right.
But not a lot of these records are the storyline is kind of loose. It's not really a very just fleshed out story.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided that I was going to write a novel to go with this. And so that's what I'm doing now, and it's going to be released. There was not one with Cleanse You. That was kind of like Cleanse You is just kind of setting the tone of the book. And but for the rest of the songs that come out, we're going to have a part that comes out with each song once per month. And so what I wanted to do with Cleanse You was just kind of tell a story, or just set the tone of the novel, which is kind of like a dystopian future where corporations have taken over the government, essentially.
Right.
Government collapsed, corporations, they owned everything anyway. So it was just kind of a natural progression. And I just kind of, wanted to kind of imagine what that future would be like. And one of the things that I came up with is just, kind of what direction I feel like we're kind of moving into now, which is just, more and more control. And even, I'm not saying this from a political standpoint at all. I'm apolitical. I guess what I was just trying to think of was that, it just always seems like on some level, there's going to be some sort of control, be it, even if it's like a Brave New World where people just, as opposed to like George Orwell, where people are just, kind of lazy and are just given everything that they want. And so they don't have to be, they don't have to, rebel or whatever else.
Right.
Just some sort of control. And I just feel like, that in that future, that's where things would be headed. So I just kind of wanted to set the tone and I felt like Cleanse You was just a way of one of these big companies, how it would kind of be paternalistic to somebody and, hey, this is for your own good. I'm going to cleanse you to make you a better person.
Right.
And, I just think, I just think that's where that would be kind of a corporation would be if it were our government, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I know it's a little out there, but I promise you the storyline is kind of getting fleshed out, and I'm writing it as I'm going too. So I think that'll be kind of cool to maybe gauge some people's reactions and see where things are going, and maybe I can go in whatever direction that people would want to see. But I definitely have a vision for the book. It's just kind of a matter of doing it.
So is that the Ascension's Constraint?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So are you talking about kind of like a heroin diaries type thing where, you have the book and then you have the soundtrack that goes with it?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the soundtrack. I mean, I guess it's like a soundtrack because the theme of each part, the theme of the song is going to kind of go hand in hand with what's going on in the book.
Right.
Maybe not really tell the story of what's going on, but it's kind of going to be emotionally, I'm going to try to place the reader in that situation, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel like, music is all about emotion. And so if anything I can do to kind of, stir up some emotion in somebody, I think, there's going to be more of a connection there. And that's kind of what I'm hoping happens.
Right. Well, and I mean, you're 100% right on that. I mean, it is, I actually did a blog before I kind of took down my website and trying to revamp it, about how, all the different ways that music can make you feel, happy, sad, it can be, there's so many different ways, different feelings that you can get from a song. I mean, I went through, a list like this, and it was just, I think something like that is, I've never actually read the Heroin Diaries. I've, heard songs from the album. But I think that would be, pretty awesome because that does, it's almost like an audiobook in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Reading, and then it's like, okay, play this, you play it. And I mean, I would definitely look into something like that. I'd look forward to it. That sounds pretty awesome. So when are we talking about that coming out?
So the obviously Cleanse You is already out, and so May 6th is when the first part of the book comes out. It's going to be on, I know this is kind of ironic talking about corporations, but it's coming out on Amazon Vella.
Mm-hmm.
And what that is kind of like Amazon's way of doing like serialized novels.
Okay.
So it'll be like 5,000 words a month. So it'll be pretty digestible, I think. And, it's each part's going to come out with a song. So I'm going to try to do it once a month. I think I can hit that schedule. No promises. I might have to take a month break, maybe in the middle or something.
Yeah.
Just to kind of get caught up and caught up on sleep. But no, I think it's just something that I just want to do something different, so so hopefully people will read. I do think it's again, I tried to imagine a future and where that would be, and I think I will say that people might imagine flying cars 100 years from now, but I don't see it.
Right.
I don't think things are going to change a whole hell of a lot in the next, 50, 60, 70 years, maybe some obviously, but, so I just kind of hope people keep an open mind about the world that, if they do choose to read it, the world I create, and, maybe they can, see some similarities about it, or at least see things the way I'm seeing. So,
Mm-hmm. So your current album is Prescription Fiction?
Yeah, that's the one we just released. Yeah, that we released that, I guess, back in February now.
Okay.
So yeah, I know this release thing is kind of weird because we dropped an album and then we immediately started releasing singles after that. But it's just how kind of, COVID messed everything up for everybody.
Yes,
And COVID, we were gearing up to release the second half. We'd released the first part of Prescription Fiction, and I was gearing up to release the second half, and we had some gigs booked, and everything was going to be fun and great. Then COVID happened, and it just, whatever momentum we had was just, stopped in its tracks. And so I kind of got bummed out, and we didn't release part two, and so when it was kind of getting time to start thinking about releasing stuff for Ascension's Constraint, I just felt like it's time to go ahead and release Prescription Fiction, and maybe kind of get people to say, hey, remember us?
Right.
Before.
So
plus, I had that we had the music. Music needs to be played. I shouldn't have held on to it as long as I did, but COVID did a number on everybody. So
yes, it did. And you're based out of Jacksonville, Florida, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So is there any gigs in the future yet, or?
So I don't think right at the moment, just because I've been spending so much time writing and because we're still doing some songs too. The songs are, I'd say, we've got most of 6 or 7 songs done.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to do 10 for this whole project. Maybe more if I can really get a nice flow going, schedule going. So I just kind of want to see how things go for the first couple months, and then maybe from there we can play out. But for now, I just kind of wanted to keep things open because, I just want to have the time to dedicate to this and get it as good as possible. And you know how it goes, like when you first start writing and it's hard to kind of put all the pieces together, but, at some point you kind of hit your flow and you know exactly where everything's going. And then so everything just becomes a lot easier. And I haven't quite reached that point yet, but I'm getting close.
Right.
So I just don't want to put too much pressure on myself right now, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, from what you've described, you train in jiu-jitsu, and you have a pretty what would I say, mentally demanding job, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's you sound like a very busy man.
Yeah, I try to stay busy, man. I just, you only get one shot at this. So
Yeah,
maybe we'll make the best of it.
I hear you. All right. Well, I appreciate you talking with me. I know you discussed that you had some issues beforehand, so I'll let you get back to that.
Oh, no, it's fine now. Everything's fine now. I appreciate your patience for me logging in a little bit late. So
no problem. I mean, I like I said, I know stuff happens. I just was, emailing, the publicist and saying, hey, he's not on yet. Are we still go? And then right as I tapped the button to send, do you want to reschedule? It said, you was there ready to admit. And I was like, well, never mind.
Oh man, I feel so bad. I never do. Like I can't think of, I think I forgot one time, but it was just like 5 minutes late or something. I've never missed one of these, man. And I'm so sorry. I made you wait. So
it's no problem. You showed up. I enjoyed talking to you. You are
likewise.
Definitely a very interesting person. And I will look forward to these releases.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time, Matt.
All right. Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.